What if everything you touched died? In a dying village caused by a black sun, one man became the problem. Crops turned to dust in his hands, water vanished at his touch. But to save everyone, he had to give up something worse than his life. His shadow. Welcome to Promiscuous Stories, the home of African narratives full of mystery, magic and meaning. If you love powerful African tales, please subscribe, like and drop your thoughts in the comment section, and please turn on the post notification bell, so you never miss a new story when it drops. Now sit back as we dive into the story. The village of Albany had forgotten what rain felt like. Above them, the sun no longer burned with light. It hovered in the sky like a dark, silent curse. A black sun that swallowed warmth and gave nothing in return. Beneath it, the earth had broken. Cracked ground stretched between mud huts built from clay and straw. Palm fronds hung lifelessly from their roofs. Empty calabashes rolled across the dusty paths as the wind carried nothing but heat and silence. Children sat weakly beside dry clay pots. Mothers stared into empty cooking fires. And at the center of the village, the sacred Iroko tree, once full of life, stood pale and dying. At the edge of it all stood Kofi. Still. Watching. He wore a faded indigo wrapper tied around his waist, his chest bare except for a leather cord that held a small carved wooden amulet. His hands were wrapped tightly in cloth. Not for protection, but to protect others from him. He looked down slowly. The cloth shifted. And beneath it, something pulsed. A dark symbol burned into his palm, ancient, alive, breathing like it had a will of its own. The omen of the black sun. A sudden shout broke the silence. Two children fought over a small calabash of muddy water. Kofi's body moved instinctively. Then stopped. His breath tightened. He couldn't go closer. Because he knew what would happen. He had seen it before. A green cassava leaf turning to dust the moment he touched it. Water slipping through his fingers like it had been stolen. And the day his mother held him. The last time she smiled before her strength left her. Kofi closed his eyes. The curse wasn't just destroying the village. It was destroying him. That night, beneath the dying Iroko tree, the elders gathered. Their bodies were marked with white chalk symbols. Red and white wrappers draped over their shoulders. Beaded staffs rested in their hands as a clay pot burned slowly before them, sending thick elbow smoke into the air. The oldest among them spoke, his voice heavy. The prophecy has awakened. Silence settled over the circle. When the black sun rises, the cursed one must walk into the valley where shadows are traded, or all will vanish. Kofi stepped forward. I will go. A murmur spread. Not of relief, but fear. One elder leaned closer, eyes narrowed. If you enter that place, you may not return as a man. Kofi's voice remained steady. If I stay, there will be no one left to remember me. And so, he left. No goodbye. No touch. Only the sound of his footsteps fading into the night. The journey was unforgiving. The farther he walked, the more the world seemed to die. Trees twisted into lifeless shapes. Rivers became nothing but dry scars in the earth. Even the wind felt distant, as if it refused to follow him. And everywhere Kofi stepped, the ground darkened. By the second day, his hands trembled beneath the cloth. The curse was growing stronger. By the third day, he saw it. The Forbidden Valley. It stood like a place forgotten by the living. Massive stone pillars rose from the earth, carved with ancient symbols that mirrored the mark on his skin. Cowrie shells and bones hung from them, swaying without wind. The air shimmered strangely, thick, unnatural. Kofi stepped forward. The moment he crossed into the valley, Something broke. His shadow stopped. It no longer followed him. Slowly, it peeled itself from the ground. Kofi turned, his breath catching in his throat. His shadow stood. Alive. It looked at him. You have come. Its voice sounded like his, but deeper. Older. Kofi steadied himself. I came to end this curse. The shadow tilted its head slowly. You carry death in your hands, yet you ask for life? Kofi stepped closer. My people are dying. The shadow circled him, moving like smoke. Everything here demands a price. Kofi's voice hardened. Tell me. The shadow stopped directly in front of him. Your shadow. Kofi froze. The valley fell silent. If you leave it behind, the shadow continued, your world will be freed from the black sun. Kofi swallowed. And me. A long pause followed. You will live, but never belong to the light again. Kofi's chest rose slowly. No reflection. No presence. No shadow. He would walk the world. Unseen. Unremembered. Alone. He looked up at the sky. Then back at the shadow. Tears filled his eyes, but he did not hesitate. I accept. The valley erupted. The ground split open beneath him as dark energy wrapped around his feet. His shadow stretched violently, pulling away from him as if it had its own will. Kofi screamed. Not in pain. But in loss. Because he could feel it. His existence. Being torn away. His shadow stood taller, stronger, more real than him. And then. Darkness. Far away. In the village of Albany. A single drop of rain fell. Then another. And suddenly. The sky opened. Rain poured endlessly. The ground softened. The wells filled. The crops began to breathe again. Life returned. The villagers danced. They cried. They lifted their faces to the sky. But something felt missing. Someone. Days later. At the edge of the village. Kofi stood. Watching. The same wrapper. The same amulet. But something was gone. He stepped forward. A woman passed through him. A child ran past him. No one turned. No one saw him. Kofi lowered his gaze. There was no shadow beneath him. Only empty ground. He smiled softly. Not because he was happy, but because they were. Above him, the sun shone brightly once more. And its light passed through him. Like he had never existed. And deep within the forbidden valley, a shadow walked freely, carrying the omen of the black sun. Now tell me, if you were Kofi, would you risk your life to save the ones you love?